not really like this, but.
Okay. Great. Let's get started. Y'all can mute as you want. You don't have to also, but if you want to, that's fine. I'm already noticing that Shadow's crying, so, you know, just gonna let that be. I know it doesn't bother anybody as much as it bothers me. But. Okay, let's just start by grounding into where we are right now. So for that, I've just been having you notice your breath. You can tap your body if you need to, the ground beside you. Just kind of feel yourself here in this moment right now. We're gonna go super slow today, even slower. I've just been really feeling into this idea of like making and creating some space for grief around where we are right now. So I just want us to kind of play around with how that is in our bodies today, which requires, you know, a slow pace, and a quiet space as much as possible. So we'll just keep it very low tonight. Can you all hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Just let me know if you need to speak up. Thank you. So we're going to keep it really low to the ground. We'll stand up maybe once, but just so you know, that's what to expect for tonight. So now that we've kind of gathered our body, minds, thoughts into this space, we'll start with just a slow circle movement with our top half. Stirring the pot is what I named this. Or one of my teachers probably named it that first. So I'm just moving the top half of my body, keeping my sitting bones nice and rooted. Sort of like you're the spoon and the bottom half of you is the pot. It just kind of gets you into this movement, your breath together. If you want to tie it with your breath intentionally, you can try inhaling as you come forward, and exhaling as you move back. You can experiment with different sizes of your circles too, or paces of your circle. Although I wouldn't recommend going too fast. But if you want to really kind of lean into it, involve your shoulders. And just notice how breath and movement are working together as always. And already you can start to feel into some of these sensations. You can reverse your circle whenever you want. You can already begin to start to feel into some of these sensations. Maybe where spots are a little tighter, have a little bit more tension. You want to go slow through those spaces. I like to involve my neck in this. Maybe some of you are, but as I go back, you can let your neck hang forward on your chest, and then as you come forward, looking up, sort of reminiscent of the cat-cow posture that we play around with. Continuing to come back with the sensation of your sitting bones rooted on the ground. Sometimes I even like to place my hands up at the top of where my legs meet my torso and just really give some firm pressure there. And that can really get me in touch with my seat, the ground beneath me. And coming back to center stillness as you're ready. Place your hands on your knees. And then on your inhale, you're going to pull your hands back to your torso, let your shoulders come together on your back and look up. And then on an exhale, hands slide forward down to your knees, shoulders roll, and you look inward. And you can flow back and forth between these two postures, seated cat-cow. Either going with the breath that I gave you or just noticing my room is moving here and not wants to move. We did an exercise last week where while we were doing these forms back and forth, we just noticed the sensations or the emotions maybe that came with opening up and closing, you know, being vulnerable. And then how that is different maybe from when you roll forward and go more inward and look inward and everything's kind of sheltered. So you can pay attention to what's happening in these two different forms for you. And again, keeping some attention on your sitting bones, whatever's touching the ground, letting your attention flow to that part of you, connecting to the ground beneath you. Coming back to center as you're ready. We're going to do forward fold in next seat here. So we're going to start with, we're going to stack our legs to do that. If stacking your legs is not comfortable for you, then you can just stay cross-legged if that's comfortable. But to stack them, you can put your ankle, right ankle over left knee and right knee over left ankle. It's like fire log stacking. But if that's not comfortable, if you're noticing like pain or anything, then certainly just stay in your cross-legged form. That's totally fine. But choose one leg to be on top first. And we'll start with just noticing there's some sensation maybe already for you there is for me. So we can just stay here for a moment and begin to feel into that sensation. And always if feeling into that sensation is just your breath, sending your breath maybe to that spot, that's fine. Sometimes like tracing your hands over the spot can be helpful and just start really interacting with where you're feeling sensation and maybe how it's coming in contact with the rest of your body. So there's all this invitation and permission to really explore this in a way that's helpful for you. Really get in touch with your own body here. So if you're feeling good here, if this is the sensation that you want to work with and stick with, then that's great. If you would like to explore it a little bit more, if you want to welcome a little bit more sensation, then you can start to walk your hands forward. Sometimes even just leaning forward, you're like, yeah, there it is, that's all I'm going to do. Or you can continue to go. But as you go, keep your sitting bones nice and rooted, so don't let those babies come off the floor. Just walk your hands out to the spot that you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to challenge yourself or anything right now. If you're feeling like this is where you want to explore, then just try and listen to that. I think sometimes we can try and push into something because we think we're supposed to or whatever. But the practice tonight is to really just pay attention to what's happening each step of the way. And sometimes if we can slow our roll enough to just let it be in this spot, this is where the sensation has something to say. If we can stay flow with it and welcome that, then I think we can open ourselves up to sitting a little bit more deeply. Hips also, so we're getting into our hips right now, and hips also can be pretty sensitive area when it comes to grief, especially. So if we're talking about sitting with our grief and making some room for it, creating some space around that, can be really tender. And so it's best to move slowly with that. So I just encourage you, wherever you are, to really let this sensation have a voice for you, whatever that means for you in this moment. Continue to feel your breath, tune in with what's touching the ground, you know, like how we started, just feel the ground beneath you. Notice that support. Notice how your breath is moving. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly walk our hands up, quickly down. Sit for just a moment. Don't go too fast. Let your leg kind of gain focus. And then we're going to switch our legs. So again, if you're doing the stack, just have your knee, your legs, basically your shins are parallel. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more. Or you can just be cross-legged and you're still getting into your hips. This is just a little bit of a deeper stretch. So if you want to sit cross-legged, reverse the way your legs are crossed. So sitting here for just a moment, noticing already whatever sensation has come up for you. Typically, this is the leg that we don't normally put in front or on top of the other leg. So first, this might feel a little bit different. So allow this journey with this leg to go differently. It doesn't have to look exactly the same as your last one, right? So if you want, you can start walking forward, and maybe you'll notice that you want to go a little deeper. Or maybe you'll notice that you actually don't want to fold at all with this leg, that you feel enough just the way that you are. Just let the journeys look different. Try. It's harder than it sounds. And try and notice if your mind wants to analyze or try and figure out why one hip is doing one thing, the other is doing another. Just try and notice that and just let it go. Okay, so like now is not the time for analyzing, and see if you can just bring that energy that's in your brain and your mind and focus it into your breath, into these sensations without judgment. You can always return to your breath. That's a helpful tool. Return to what's touching the earth. Noticing if your sensations shift or change at all, if your breath changes. And then you'll walk back up as you're ready. Stay here for just a moment. Recalibrate. And you'll put both legs out long in front of you. Stack pose. So let's put our hands down beside our hips here also. Me and my teacher taught me this habit of doing, taking your thighs here and just twisting them out. That's not the word that you would use. But if you just move your upper thighs in and out, then you can sometimes feel into your sitting bones a little bit more. Can get a little bit more contact and make the floor that way. The ground beneath you. And then let's place our palms or fingertips on your, a little bit behind your hips here. So if you press into those, I don't know if you guys can see that well enough when I do it, but it just kind of lifts, my shoulder blades come together and I lift a little bit and I feel into the contact of my sitting bones on the floor a little bit more, what is the word I'm looking for precisely? I can just feel that specifically touching the floor. So feeling into that, feeling this lift in your spine, this separation maybe in your ribs, just creating a little bit more space here in your core also. So we're really feeling into what's grounding us and then creating from that grounding, creating some space here in our core. And then maintaining that lift in your spine, so really finding that this spaciousness with the lifted spine. We're going to bring our hands up on an inhale And then on an exhale, we begin to journey into the forward fold, trying to maintain that length in your spine as you do it. So we'll think about our heart coming towards our toes instead of your head to your knees. So you can kind of think about that heart to your knees, and that maintains that length in your spine. Wherever your hands land, eventually that's totally fine. Mine tend to grab onto my feet, but it's not wrong for you to be on your calves or ankles or whatever. Never wrong. So let's just throw that out there right now. As you maintain that length, that spaciousness, you can slowly let your head start to hang forward or come forward. And just pay attention as your head starts to come forward, how that maybe shifts the sensation of this forward fold for you. Maybe it gets you into your low back a little bit more, your neck and your shoulders. Continuing to pay attention to your breath. Maybe on your exhale, you can journey a little bit further down into your forward fold. On your inhale, you remember that length in your spine, so you can breathe into that length and then exhale into the fold. That's nice. I like that metaphor. Continuing to bring attention to whatever's touching the ground, so your heels, your calves maybe, your thighs, your sitting bones. If it ever feels good to you to just touch the ground with your hands, you're always welcome to do that. Notice how your breath is moving here. It's filling your back, if you can have some sort of sense of it filling your back, if you notice it coming down to your sitting bones. And then you just notice it in your shoulders, your chest, your belly, and just kind of notice where your breath wants to be moving right now. And see if you can give it that space and that access, that permission to move. Notice how you feel in this posture, in this form. Really, forward folds are like really postures that we come into when we really care for ourselves, right? Because we're folding in and we're just kind of protecting ourselves, this vulnerable space. And it's just us with ourselves saying, I got you. I'm here. This is, this is me. When it's a nice time to really practice holding yourself in this grief, in this like time of uncertainty. That's been one of the hardest parts for me, is that I don't have a lot of, we don't have access to the community that I like to like just witness, what we're going through, our feelings, our celebrations, our grief. That witnessing aspect has been missing, and so it's nice to, first of all, have things like this, but then also to practice showing up for yourself in these ways. Just breathe into that. Notice what comes up for you. And then as we start to sit up, go slow. We're going to bend our right leg and bring that up with us as we sit up straight. And then let that knee come to the ground, towards the ground. And then try and bring your right foot to the center as much as possible. You kind of shift so that you're facing the way that your right foot, like towards your right heel. Does that make sense? So we're not facing out straight towards our left foot anymore, but we're facing at an angle. Okay. Go ahead and find your sitting bones here. So it's always nice to take a moment to just find your seat and make sure your sitting bones are evenly on the ground here, so you're not leaning to one side. Head over heart, heart over pelvis, sort of. alignment. Find your breath. And then make sure, as we're gonna reach out towards our left foot here, we'll take the moment to just make sure our left toes are facing up towards the sky. And then we're gonna bring our left hand down towards our left foot. It can be, again, shin, ankle, foot, big toe, whatever is more comfortable for you. Go ahead and, with your right hand, go ahead and press into the top of your right leg there. Just really find some grounding there. Pushing your thigh into the ground and then feeling your sitting bone really ground down when you do that. Then we're gonna twist, so we're gonna bring our left rib up towards the sky, and we're gonna bring our right hand all the way up. So it's a little subtle twist here. Bring your left hand all the way up to the sky and really reach. And feel your bottom, your left ribs twisting up towards your hand. See what it feels like to connect with a lot of energy moving out of that hand, your fingertips, just really reaching strongly out of your hand there. Find your breath. And then on an exhale, we'll begin to reach our left hand up and over, down towards our, right hand down towards your left toes. I think my right hand up some stuff, so I'm working on it. So we're reaching down towards our left toes, but staying really firmly rooted in our right sitting bone, and that when you were pressing into the top of your leg there, really feel that grounding in the top of, or in your right leg there, pushing into the ground. And again, let's continue with that breath cue of experimenting with length on your inhale, and then on your exhale, maybe journeying a little bit further into the stretch. And if you can connect with that right sitting bone, really rooting into the ground, and then really reaching strongly out through your right fingertips, and really see if you can find that, nice big side body stretch there, and the connection from your fingers to your sitting bones, just seeing how it's all connected in that line. There's so much to pay attention to here. You can continue to come back to your breath and feel into that sensation. And then as you're ready, we're going to bring our right hand down towards our foot and have a forward fold then out over that left leg. So this is a little bit of a twist the other way. So we think about our right ribs coming towards our right ribs coming towards your left leg. Right, Lucy? And again, that breath, finding length on your inhale, and on your exhale, journeying into the fold. And just see what sensations are coming for you here. If it's a new one, if it feels, this is, some different sensation that you're experiencing. If you feel it in your back, your hips. And again, really finding your sitting bones and that grounding in your right leg, the top of your right leg there, really pressing into the ground. And let your head hang over in this forward fold. Hold your breath. And then we'll slowly start to sit up. Now, I encourage you to move slow because we are holding these postures for a long time, so it's good to not just crank in and out of them. Good. And then we're going to switch legs. So right leg back down. Left leg comes up with you this time. And then we'll open ourselves out to angle towards our left foot. So right foot is out. Left foot is drawn in towards. Good. Finding your, not your footing, but your sitting here. Your right heel's on the ground, right toes are facing up towards the sky. We're going to ground down to that left leg this time. We're pushing into that left leg and feeling our sitting bones, right, both firmly connected to the ground, balanced as much as possible. If there is like an imbalance there, if you're noticing, like, oh, maybe my right sitting bone is a little bit more firmly connected than my left was, or anything like that. Again, the invitation, and this is hard, the invitation is to just notice that without judgment and do your best to take care of yourself in that form. That can be hard to do it without judgment, but just to notice. Maybe you know that about your hips also, that there's some misalignment. Okay, so we're pressing down through the top of that left leg. And then this time our right hand goes down towards our right foot. Maybe it connects with the foot, maybe it doesn't quite. Just find what's comfortable for you. Make sure your toes are facing up towards the sky. And then we'll find that twist first. So left hand is going to go up towards the sky, reaching your right ribs up towards that hand. So you find a nice big twist here, connecting in with maybe shooting some energy out through your fingertips, really strongly reaching up. Trying not to collapse into this form, but meeting it with your energy, your heart. Find your breath. Stay really firmly rooted in your hips, your sitting bones. It's touching the ground. And then we'll start to come into that side body stretch. So now left hand is towards right toes, but we're staying really rooted in our left sitting bone and reaching really strongly out for our left hand so that we find that big connection, long connection from our sitting bone all the way up to the tips of our fingers. Staying grounded in that leg. Top of the leg really pushing down into the ground. Noticing the sensations here, if they're different than the other side. Staying open to that. Find your breath. Inhale. And then on your exhale, we'll begin to bring that hand down, left hand down towards your right foot, so that we're coming into that forward fold over our right leg this time. And it's a little bit of a twist in the opposite direction. So left ribs are coming down into this forward fold with you. More square over that right leg. Keeping your sitting bones nice and firmly rooted. And connecting with your breath again, finding length. Playing around with length on your inhale. And playing around with maybe folding a bit more. Even just feeling into it more. And maybe there's no movement that happens, that's totally fine, like in the physical body, but paying attention with your exhale. Paying attention to that forward fold. And the sensations that come with that. And then slowly, as you're ready, we'll start to sit up. Both low. Now we're going to open both legs out into this wide legged seat. For just a moment, I'm going to keep my eye on time. Okay. Wide legged seat. Your heels are firmly planted on the ground, toes are facing up towards the sky. Let's bring our hands back behind our hips a little bit again. Let our shoulders open up. Opening up into the posture where your shoulder blades come together and kind of opening up, letting your chest spread. Noticing the sensation that comes up with that. If this is ever too free, you don't have to hold this. This can be a quite a vulnerable position, so if you ever feel like that's enough, you can always come forward before I do. Find your breath here. Find your sitting bones. Our sitting bones are like they're our roots tonight, right? So we're really finding those before any movement, connecting with your grounding. That's kind of the motto of my movement. Is to find the ground. Find your feet before you move into your posture or your form. And our feet tonight happen to be our sitting bones. Okay, so we're breathing, inhale, and then on an exhale, let our hands come down in front of us. And just like with our stacked legs earlier, we can just walk our hands in front of us as much as is comfortable. Or if you're listening and you just feel like this is all you want to do tonight, and even if you could push it further, the invitation is to not, and to just let yourself be here tonight, or however that is. Manifesting for you. Finding that length on your inhale. Noticing your fold on your exhale. Feeling into your sitting bones. Noticing the balance between them. If there are ways that you can subtly shift that balance, your weight, and the way that you're kind of coming forward or pressing into your thighs. Trying to create space, create room for your body to be able to speak up in these sensations, your low back, your hips, your thighs, your hamstrings, just leaving room for them to say their piece, which is just in the form of sensation, right? We don't have to interpret it, we can just let them be what they are tonight. And then if you're ready, we will walk our hands back out to center. And then assist your legs here. So go ahead and slide your hands underneath your knees and then pull up on knees and come into bound angle. So the soles of your feet are together. Whatever that looks like for you, it's totally fine. Let your hands find a comfortable spot here in bound angle. Kind of settle into, feel your sitting bones on the ground again, settle into that. And kind of find a little wobble. Find your length, so that spaciousness. So even though our hands are in front of us, see if you can mimic that spaciousness, like when your shoulder blades are on your back. Mimic that spaciousness by just finding that length in your spine. And then on your inhale, find that length, and exhale, we'll come into a forward fold here. So forward fold is the theme tonight. And again, like I said before, this is just a nice way of caring for yourself, right? Showing a lot of compassion. And if that's not coming to you naturally as you're coming into this, these different forward folds, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to look any certain way or sound any certain way. I would just invite you to be open to the possibility that you can explore self-compassion here. And if you do notice some negative self-talk connected to anything, again, the invitation is to just notice it and try not to attach to it. And that's so much easier said than done. But it's just a practice, right? So you get to continue to come back to that practice. The practice is being with ourselves, feeling held. Noticing how we can care well for ourselves. In your forward fold, again, bringing your attention to your sitting bones. That's your ground, that's your feet tonight in this form. Maybe your elbows are helping your knees find their way to the ground a little bit, the floor. Exploring the length on your inhale, feeling into the sensation of the forward fold on your exhale. And slowly coming up with feet. When you're ready. And then we'll find that assist with our hands. We're going to put our hands underneath our knees, push our knees up together. And then we are just going to do a little bit on our hands and knees and come up to standing for just a couple breaths. So also if you're not feeling it, my feelings are not hurt if you stay sitting. But come to table. If you are feeling it, in table we have our hands directly underneath our shoulders, knees underneath your hips. If your wrists are bothering you, you can always come up on your fists like that. Can you see that? So we're in neutral table here. That just means we're holding our posture or form here at the table. Find your breath. Again, we've switched. We're not sitting anymore, so find what's connected to the earth, your knees, your hands, tops of your feet. Just feel into your base. Notice how your breath wants to move here. And again, meeting this, not collapsing into this form, but meeting it with your strength, your intention, your heart in this moment, whatever that looks like and feels like for you. And then we'll journey into the spine work. So on our inhale, we'll let our spine fall, our shoulders will move together, we'll look up. And then on your exhale, bringing your navel up towards your spine, curving inward, or curving upward, looking inward rather. And then flowing back and forth between those two forms. Noticing the sensations that come up. Seeing if you can just let them be. Taking care of yourself. Moving at your own pace. Coming back to center stillness as you're ready. Then we're going to curl our toes under. Put your toes under and send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Really pressing strongly, firmly out through your hands and rooting down through your heels. So even if your heels don't touch the ground, really sending the energy out through your heels so that your legs are really feeling into the sensation. Great. And then we will slowly walk our feet towards our hands, coming into a forward fold. Our first standing forward fold of the evening. So let yourself be here. Find your feet, right? So this time our feet are actually on the ground, so we are connecting in with our feet. Your hands can be on your feet, on the ground, your knees bent as much as they need to be. You can grab opposite elbow if you want. Find your breath. And just let yourself be in this forward fold. Enjoying the sensation of the blood going in the opposite direction for a moment. Taking care of your
organs. And shake your head yes and no. Sometimes that's a nice way to release some tension. Notice your jaw. If your jaw is wanting to hold on to some tension. Try and see if you can let that tension go, even just a little bit. It doesn't have to be totally like, let everything go. If you want to just play around with, what if I release it a little bit and see what happens. Okay, we're going to bend our knees a little bit more so that we can slowly roll up.
I seriously go slow. Once you hold forward for a long time. I think for anybody passing out. And then we'll connect again here and standing in mountain pose. So let's bring our hands up in an inhale. And then exhale. They can come all the way down and through. You can hold them here at center in Anjali Mudra if you want, or you can let them come all the way down to your sides. Either is fine. But let's connect in here in mountain pose, mountain form. Check back in with your neck. You can find some neck circles here. Notice how your neck is feeling. Again, notice your jaw. Notice your breath, if it's moving differently here in standing. Your heart. Your heart rate. Your heart emotionally. You know. And then let's find our footing here. So you can, we did this last week a little bit. You can rock side to side or small circles on your feet. And the practice here is to bring attention to your feet, yes. Notice how you can find a balance right in your stance, even in just a standing form. You can find your center. It's also just a very helpful grounding exercise if you feel yourself spinning out about anything. I don't know if anybody ever experiences spinning out. This is a really helpful exercise. Just find your feet. Especially nice if you have access to outside, but also fine if you don't. Always available too. Okay, so once you feel like you have found your center, where you are the most balanced over your feet, you can feel all four corners, all edges of your feet on the ground, and just paying attention, giving that intention into your feet, your stance, your balance. Again, this is just a giant act of self-care, right? Noticing how you're holding yourself here. Find your breath. Find this spaciousness that we found while we were sitting. So on your inhale, see if you can just find that spaciousness in your spine, lifting your spine, letting your ribs kind of separate. Again, there's always an invitation to use your hands as tools. So if it's helpful for you to kind of feel into your ribs, feel your spine, feel this chest opening, it's always an invitation for you to use that. So it's never like hold it. Okay, once you have like you found your body in this space, in this stance, let's go ahead and inhale, hands up. Exhale through. We're just going to do that 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale through. Once more, inhale up. Exhale through. This time we're going to bring our hands up, and then right hand is going to grab, you guys can't do this, but right hand's going to grab left wrist. We're going to think up, so that's length again. Find that length, and then exhale reach your left hand towards your right side. So we're coming into a side body stretch there. Keep your feet nice and rooted. See if you can feel into that, the four corners on the edges of your feet in this side body stretch. Keeping your feet, that intention there. And then we'll come back up through center. This time left hand, right wrist. Think up and then over into that side body stretch, really rooting down, especially rooting down on your right foot as you pull, journey out towards your left. Maintaining that awareness in both feet. Coming back up through center, reach really strongly out through both hands. You can look up if you want. And then exhale, let your hands come back down. We're just gonna try a forward fold where I'm gonna show you guys. It's nothing too complicated, but I just want you to see, because we're gonna inhale up and then we're gonna sigh and let it come back. Just let ourselves kind of come over into a forward fold, but it's more of like a releasing of like that. And I wanna do that all together. We wanna do it 9 times. If you start to feel lightheaded, you can also just let it be your arms, and that's, you know, just as effective of a practice. Does that make sense for everyone? Yes. Questions? Okay. So we're going to start together, and then just once you've completed 9, then you can stand. We'll meet back in mountain pose. Okay. Inhale up, and then sigh it out. Go at your own pace. Let your hands hit the floor if you want, and just really practice of letting it go. Maybe giving it all to the earth. And then once you've done 9, you can find yourself back in mountain. Once you're here in mountain, just notice, take a moment to notice if it's fuzzy, if your heart rate's different, if your breath is different. Just take a moment in this space. Finding your feet. Noticing that ground beneath you. Noticing your heart. Maybe you can feel, if you have your hands up on your heart, maybe you can feel your heart. It's pulsing a little bit more rapidly, strongly. The last thing we're going to do on our feet is to play around in tree. So the reason I want to do this is because I want us to really feel into our roots, right? So the ground, our grounding. Again, no right or wrong way to do this. If tonight what you want to do is, let me see real quick. But if tree tonight looks like this, where you're resting your ankle, or your heel rather, on the top of your ankle, that's great. And this is actually a really nice way to practice feeling into your roots, because maybe you're not as distracted trying to like balance and like that. So that is certainly an option in our tree practice tonight. But as we journey into tree, let's go slowly, yeah? That's what I'm all about. So you can have your hands here in Anjali Mudra. They can also be by your side, they can be on your hips. All of that's fine. But let's slowly start to come over, shift your weight over your left foot. Make sure as you do that, or try and notice as you do that, that your left hip isn't coming out like that. That will just, that just takes care of your joints in the long run. So we're shifting our weight over to our left, and then you can slowly start to play around with how your right foot is going to journey in tree tonight. So it can be with just your heel resting over your ankle. I'm also sorry, assuming that all of us know what tree is. I didn't totally explain it. It seems like you're all doing fine. Karen, if you want, you can bring your heel on top of your ankle. You can bring your foot onto your calf, and then let your knee, your hip open up to the side there. Or you can bring your foot all the way up into your thigh. Wherever you are, wherever you're deciding to play around with your roots tonight, find a point to gaze at that can help you balance. You can try closing your eyes, it makes it pretty difficult. But find a still point in front of you that you can just let your gaze soften on. Pushing, meeting that, the force of your right foot pressing into your left leg, meeting that with your left leg. So you're kind of zipping it all into the midline there. And then bringing all that awareness down, right, into your left foot there. So your left foot is what's touching the ground. It's the only thing touching the ground right now, presumably, or your right toes are also on the ground. And think about connecting with the ground. So maybe the image of like connecting in with literal roots is helpful for you, really rooting into the ground, into the earth, the soil. Maybe that's a helpful image for you. You can also play around with other imagery. But hugging that into the midline, feeling yourself in the center line, and then plugging that all the way down into that left foot on the ground in the earth. Okay. Gazing point in front of you. And then when you feel complete, slowly let your right foot come down. And then I like to just take a minute to kind of shake it out. Before moving on to the second side. So have your hands where they're comfortable. And then we'll slowly shift our weight again over to the right this time. Again, paying attention to what your hip wants to do here and trying to keep it into the midline. And then starting to experiment with your left leg this time. So maybe left heel comes up above right ankle and you keep your left toes on the ground. Again, finding that gaze point, something to gaze at, non-moving in front of you. Can help you balance. Hugging things to the midline, so things, I mean your body, hips, legs. Again, finding that length, that spaciousness here in your core by maintaining that length in your spine, and that will also help the midline to kind of be available for you. Center thumb line. Notice that this side is different, if there's a little bit different way that you play around with balance. It is like that for me. I have a harder time balancing on my right. So just kind of giving yourself that space to let it be what it is. And again, connecting in with that root, right? However that feels for you. We're hugging into the midline, finding that spaciousness, and then sending that energy, that awareness, that intention down into the right foot that's connecting in with the ground now. And whatever image is helpful for you. Or if an image is helpful, it also doesn't have to be, maybe it's a color. There's no right way to connect in with that, but whatever image, color, sound, kind of helps you connect into your own grounding ritual. You play around with that. Find your breath. Once you're ready, when you feel complete on this side, release that leg. And again, take a moment to shake it out. Yeah, we're gonna make our way to our seat again together. So let's come up to the front edge of your mat. When you're ready, inhale, hands come all the way up. Exhale, journey into that forward fold. Let your hands find the ground and then step your legs back into table. And then swing your legs to the side so that you can come to the seat. Perfect. Okay, so we're actually gonna just come onto our backs. So guide yourself down with your arms all the way to your back. Keep your legs bent. So your feet are on the ground. Let's go ahead and connect in with our breath for a moment. So feel the soles of your feet on the ground. Your spine connecting in with the ground now. Maybe you like to place your hands on the ground. Just kind of feel into where you are right in this moment. And then we'll do one more posture together before we come into Shavasana. This will connect in with our hips. One more time. Again, like I said, this can be pretty tender, pretty vulnerable spaces, so take your time here, and if this is not feeling helpful, then you can skip this. But if you would like to come into one more hip pose, we'll cross our right ankle over our left knee. Oh, hey, Sage. Right ankle over left knee. Maybe this is where you want to stay. That's great. This is a fine, coming into that hip. If you want to continue to explore sensation a little bit, you can bring your left leg up towards your chest, and then you can meet your hands behind your left leg there. So right hand is going to go in between your legs, left hand behind your left thigh. Then you can pull your left leg up towards your chest. Seems like it makes sense for you guys. Just to note, make sure your toes, both toes on both, all 10 toes on both feet are facing up towards the sky. So your left shin is parallel, both shins really are parallel to the ceiling. And then for your breath cues, you can inhale and think about pulling in that leg towards you. And then on your exhale, with your right elbow kind of pushing your left, top of your left leg away from you. Right leg, sorry. Left leg towards you, right leg away from you. Feeling into that hip sensation. Whatever that is feeling like for you here, take a moment to breathe with it. You can stay here if you'd like, or you can straighten your left leg so that it is, your foot is up towards the ceiling. You can find a straight left leg, keep your right leg as it is, and keep your hands interlocked behind your left leg. And this is a nice way to prepare you for rest and Shavasana. Just kind of gets your blood flowing in the opposite direction for a moment. Takes care of your organs, prepares you well, helps you integrate. Good, let's go ahead and unwind that side. Both feet on the ground, both soles of your feet on the ground for a moment. Take a couple breaths here to just notice. Feel into if either side feels different now, if they feel different from side to side. Just take a moment to observe. This is the practice. This is where we get to practice observing in these moments where we have maybe less feeling about what's showing up. We have less charge around it, and we can just practice. Oh, this is what it feels like just to notice. Oh, my left hip feels different now that I've done that. And there we go. That's the practice. Okay, we'll do the opposite side now. So left ankle crosses right knee. So you're forming like a little lunge forward. Maybe this is enough on this side, that's great, you can stay there. Or you can bring your right leg up towards your chest. Meet your hands in behind your right thigh there. And then journey into the sensation here for this hip. So on your inhale, you're pulling that right leg towards you, and on your exhale, with your left elbow, you're sending your left leg just away from you, kind of pushing it out towards your right foot there. And sometimes it can be helpful to link this kind of stuff with your breath, with the movement, you know, like pulling in, pushing out on the inhale and the exhale. It can be helpful to notice the sensation and bring you deeper into that sensation conversation. Give some rhythm, some pulse to it. But if it's not helpful for you, that's totally fine. Do your own breath. Follow it. As you're ready, you can straighten that right leg, let your right foot come up towards the ceiling, blood move in the opposite direction. Keep breathing. Maybe notice how your breath is changing, if it is changing. Notice where it's filling. If it's filling your belly, if it's filling your chest. It's moving all the way down to your pelvis. And then as you're ready, unwind. Again, bringing both feet to the floor, soles of your feet. I like to just find a little rock in my knees here, side to side. And just let any other movement that wants to happen before we find rest in Shavasana. Let that happen here. So that when you come into Shavasana, you can just be in that state. There's nothing else for you to do. So as you're ready, stretch right leg out and then left. Let your feet fall apart from each other. Try to move everything out of the way so that you're not touching anything except your body on the mat. Let your hands find a comfortable spot, maybe on your body, maybe resting on the ground beside you. Notice where there's any tension that might be holding on and see if you can begin to release that slowly. Let go of your jaw, your forehead, your eyes, your temples. See if you can let everything go. There's nothing else for you to do except rest for these few moments. And I will bring you out after this. We'll slowly start to bring our awareness back into our body, to the space that you're in, into this gathering. And start with slow movements, hands and feet. And then as you're ready, finding some bigger movements, maybe as you bring yourself back to the present. Before you sit up, you can open your eyes and just kind of look around your space, bring yourself fully back, looking all around you. Seeing if you can welcome a sense of gratitude for both the practice and your space. Before you roll to your side and push yourself up into your feet. You can go as slowly as you'd like. And I encourage you to go slow, go to bed, or whatever, you can do whatever you want. But just go slow. This was kind of a deeper practice, so you can go on and take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. Thanks for being here. As always, if anybody has any questions or anything that comes up, you can always reach out. Also, I think that Zoom automatically records all of these, so if you would ever want that, that's a good idea. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.